Hey everyone, welcome to another Lords of War video how-to. This time we're going to be looking at doing some non-metallic gold. And this is sort of like my, I'm going to say like cheater technique. But I've found like starting with the contrast paints can give you some nice, really nice, a really nice starting point to do some non-metallic gold. So we're going to take this model I've done in a previous video, just added some snakebite leather here to the shoulder pad. And we're going to build off of that. We've got a couple colors here on the palette you can see. We're going with just some AK stuff today. We got sand yellow, white, black, and some, I was going to say fiery orange. It's light orange. And yeah, so you can kind of change this up depending on the type of gold you want. So this color is really going to, this like first color is really going to determine the type of gold you end up with. So you can go with something a lot more desaturated if you want something more old and tarnished, or you can intensify the color and go with more of a traditional yellow if you want like a really bright sort of gold. Either way, I kind of chose something in the middle. Let's get started here. We're just going to take, we have our wet palette here, Everlasting wet palette, and I've got my gold series Green Stuff World brush number 2, and we're going to start painting. All right. So we want our paint really nice and thin, obviously, because we're going to be glazing this on. So really we're just going for thin coats here and working the paint in. This is our majority mid-tone color, so we're going to cover up a lot of the area. The nice thing about glazing is you can, I like to use my thumb, as you can see. It's not the best habit in the world, but I find it helps me get a lot of the extra pigment I don't want on the brush off of the brush. So I'm going to hit the edges here. I find these points here. I'm kind of doing a quick job. You can be a little bit more precise in yours. Just trying to give you the broad strokes here. And the nice thing about glazing is the paint does dry very quickly. So we can add the next little micro layer relatively fast here. So that looks like it's dry already on top here, and I'm going to build up that color towards the point of light, which on these sort of shoulder pads is going to be centered to the top here in the middle. So I'm just going to get a nice horrible crack here in the middle, which, you know, obviously I was too lazy to fix. It's a tutorial model. Come on, guys, take it easy on me here, okay? All right, just going to catch the edge a bit more. You can see the color starting to take shape a little bit. The real thing you're trying to achieve with the non-metallic effect is the number one thing is contrast. So you really want to show from dark to light that transition of color. That is how you get the most impact with your non-metallic effects. So we don't want to erase all of our deeper tone. We want to have some of that left over still. Okay, so we've got quite a bit of color there now on the pad. Almost ready to move on to our next step. There we go, it's focusing. Pretty happy with that. Could probably do a little bit more concentrated here at the top. It's almost like a third layer there. All right. I think we're ready to change our color here. So we're going to add in another another lighter color, and another darker color. So white and black here. So we got white. Now the other trick to having a really nice non-metallic metal effect is to really punch the high end. So we really want to outline our metallic, have a nice sharp white outline that shows where the light is catching on the edges of the metal. And this can really make a difference. You may want to use a slightly smaller brush for this step. I probably also should have, but like a 0 or a 00 if your hand is a little shaky. With the 2, I'm kind of just doing more of a side painting here just to kind of catch the edge. And I could also, focus. I could also take a bit of white and do sort of like a light spot on, usually have these on like round surfaces with metals where the light kind of hits at the top point here. So just going to kind of add a little light spot to the top there. Boom. A swang effect, if you will. A swing or a swang, I forget the swing. It's like when the thing's turning in the sun, it just goes bing, bing, shines right back in your face. Now you can be a little textured with this sort of technique as well. A lot of people like to do more of a textured metal, and that's where you're a little bit more, you're a little less concerned with smoothness, and you're a little bit more kind of concerned with like almost like touching your highlights on a little bit more dabbed, and that kind of shows almost like a nicer texture to the metal. I can maybe cover that in a different video. That's a whole different technique. But and now we're going to take some black, and basically we're going to just punch the shadows a little bit more. So I'm just going to add a little bit more darkness to these areas in here. Any sort of area like this that would be completely out of the light on the edge here of the catch there will be, I like to black out that entirely. There you go. See, it looks like starts to look quite sharp. Whoa, come back in focus. Okay. And now you can kind of sort of take a look at like the actual volume, and if you want to play around with, maybe there's a bit more shadow back here, you can kind of create those areas now. So maybe I want a little bit of a shadow here in this area here. I can add that in. Maybe we have one over here as well. We definitely have one here. And just like the other steps, like because you're glazing, if you want pure black, you're going to have to go back and do a second or third little thin coat on that, okay? All right, we're starting to get somewhere here. Now, the last step, I can't take credit for this. I've seen these in like sort of like Angel Geralda's videos. Is kind of crucial. It's sort of like a tinting step where you're adding a little bit more richness to the color. and he usually uses orange for this. You can tint with other colors as well, and you can kind of experiment, but for the sake of this video, we'll just use a little bit of this light orange here. And we really want this to be quite thin, so we don't want to change things too much here. We just want to add a little bit of color. So got a little bit of that thinned down orange, and we're just going to kind of lightly glaze over in between the blends, essentially. So like I'm not going all the way into the area where I painted white, but I'm sticking to the, you know, 3/4, I guess, of the area outside of that zone, and kind of glazing in that orange a little bit, just to add that richness into the tone. And it's starting to take shape a little bit there. You can kind of see it. It's very subtle, which is what we want, because we can control that, right? If we want more of that, we can add more, right? So it's starting to dry, and we're going to put a little bit more in, because I like my colors to be pretty rich. I'll put a little bit more in here towards the bottom. So that's more or less it. Obviously you can play with where the colors go a little bit more, but that would be sort of like a really good, easy starting point to sort of playing around with your kind of like non-metallic metal golds. So let me know what you think. Give it a try yourself. Do you use contrast paints like this to kind of get that starting tone? I really like it. It helps me kind of get going on these colors. I'm going to post another one about non-metallic metal silver, which I really like to do as well. And yeah, like and subscribe if you like the video. There'll be more little tutorials like this in the future. Take care, guys. Thanks.